It's time to check your money with Mike Jennings, wealth advisor with Brackens Financial Solutions Network LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial, member SIPC. And Mike, you celebrated a birthday this week. Happy birthday to you.
I did.
I would sing
Yep.
Stevie Wonder, but happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you,
Happy
my brother. I appreciate
birthday. Yes. And
it.
now you say I've sang to you. We good.
I did. I got that as recorded too. I could play it every year if I want.
Because that's it.
Well, it's interesting though. It's interesting you started with a song. Now, George, as a radio show host, it's safe to characterize you as a consumer of media, right?
Yes.
Good, good, good. And I'm sure if you thought about it, like you could name a bunch of your favorite music albums, movies, and TV shows, right? And I'm sure our listeners can too, and
Right.
same with me. And there was a time, probably like a while ago when people showed how much they enjoyed something by owning it. Those different kinds of entertainment media, right?
Right.
When I would come home as a kid after school, I pretty much had the option of watching whatever was on TV, or if I wanted to watch something I knew that I enjoyed, I could play a DVD or a VHS, depending on what year we're talking about specifically.
Okay.
And that is how everyone really, who enjoyed media did it up until, like the mid 2000s, right?
Right.
When the world really began its real headfirst dive into the digital age. And that was when the idea of ownership of certain things began to be questioned. And this this past week and a half, that topic was very much brought to the forefront again, because of a certain company. Do you know which one that happened to be, George?
Oh man, I don't know what company that is. I don't know because
You-
I'm really fascinated because I don't know the story. So I
Okay,
mean,
okay. So you may have missed this story, particularly, and listeners out there may have missed this story, particularly if you're not a video game player.
ah,
But the implication of this story does cast a shadow over the entire media landscape. So for the past week and a half, the good folks over at Sony have been getting their getting their
okay,
backs kicked all the way in, by consumers, as they decided to announce that starting in 2028, they will no longer be producing physical games for their PlayStation consoles, right? So Sony is
really?
the ones who, I'm sure a lot of you out there probably have kids, grandkids, who talk about PlayStation, PS5 all the time, right? So these consoles, these video game consoles, Sony actually, for the first time with this one, they sold two different ones. They sold one that had a disk drive, so you can put in actual video game discs and play it, or ones that were digital only, meaning you could just buy video games, download video games, and play it on the
On
console
the console.
itself, right?
Okay.
Right. And as you can imagine, right? This announcement that they are no longer supporting physical video games starting in 2008, this set a firestorm of backlash on every social media platform, and for good reason. Now, I've also always been a gamer. There's never not been a video game console in my house since I was born. As a kid, every holiday, every good report card, every
Get a new
birthday.
game, right?
Every birthday, I asked for a new game. I can't even tell you how many times my dad took me to Best Buy, GameStop, and I went up and down the aisles and pick out a game, something like that, right? So being a gamer, and probably perhaps due to, the nostalgia of how things used to be, right? This announcement like definitely hurt my heart a little bit, right?
Hmm.
But also at the same time, I can't say that I didn't see this coming. And anyone that has consumed almost any kind of entertainment media for the last 2 decades should be able to see why, right? And that why is that we've seen this happen before multiple times. George, again, you love music, right?
Yes.
And I'm sure that there was a point in time, there's an era in your life that you had an extensive physical music library, or maybe you even still do. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
Lots of
Like,
CDs, lots of yes.
like you were
Yeah.
reminiscing a bit
Yeah, yeah,
there.
yeah,
And so,
exactly, exactly.
yeah,
Well, listen, I still got albums. What am I playing them on?
there you go. There you go, right? And that's another point too. But it's a lot of people like you and like me, the vast majority of music today is consumed digitally. And it's because it's convenient, right? Most of us right now have a device with an arm's reach that we can use to instantly access almost any recorded song in existence. Which means that most consumers no longer have a growing catalog of physical music, like you were saying, right? People used to have albums, right? But then you think of the onset of like the MP3 players and iPods, iPhones, right?
Right.
People really stopped listening to full albums, right? Because you could just go and you could listen to your favorite song here, favorite song there from this artist, that artist. So even the concept of an album is like people don't even really consume music that way anymore. And really like the same with film and TV, right? The vast majority of people who watch specific things are now streaming it rather than maintaining like a huge library of DVDs or VHSs back in the day, Blu-rays, things like that.
Right.
But unlike the other ones, the video game industry has maintained a much longer stretch of physical media for a few different reasons. Now, the first one is more of a business sense, right? So the price point of a new video game when it hits the market, right? And, in my lifetime, it went from $50, $60 to now a new game is $70, right? Um, while the same for like a new CD back in the day when people used to buy CDs and DVDs, it was much less, right? You could go and get an album for between 15 $20. You could go get a movie or a TV show box set for like 20 $30. But now we're talking about buying something, creating something, putting it on a disc, packaging it, putting it in the stores, but you're able to sell it at like probably at least double the price point, right? So it's justified in that sense from a business aspect. But also the reason why, or really the biggest main reason why video games have lasted longer than other, certain physical media was this unique resale market of video games, right? I'm sure you've heard of GameStop, right?
Yep.
Or
And that's they
you
right. I've heard of
or
it.
if you
Yes.
have, yeah, if you don't know what the story is, you probably even heard of, what their stock was doing during COVID. But, GameStop is the national retailer that not only sells new games, but it also is a storefront for a secondhand market of video games where, people can go there and sell their old collection of video games, or you can buy a new game, go home, play it, and then bring it back 2 days and sell it back to GameStop, right? And they're going to
Mm.
sell it. They're going to put it on the shelves and sell it to other people as a used game at a lower price. Um, the other markets didn't have something to this scale, right? I mean, you have your music store here, but back in the day, you couldn't go to FYE and and really bring your old stuff, or a lot of people didn't really do that. But you have your secondhand markets here and there, but none of them really was at the level of video games. Well, I guess technically, vinyl records, which has had the most dramatic resurgence of really any other physical media. And I mean, 20 consecutive years of growth for vinyl records. Or so, there's some nostalgic people out there, and
Right.
there's clearly this interest in vinyl records specifically. But that's a whole other case. But even with that, the annual sales are still nowhere near the previous peaks. So physical video games have held on a lot longer than other media this far into the digital age. But now, clearly that's changing, and that really leads to like the real issue. So, if you're only able to buy digital media from one source, being, Sony, the PlayStation Store, then that one source singularly controls the price. And really, when you're talking about buying a digital video game, buying music digitally, buying a digital TV show or movie, what you're really buying is the license. You're buying a license
Right.
from these
Mhm.
marketplaces to download or view it, right? And we've even seen issues with that, right? So not as important because it's a subscription. You're paying monthly for an entire library of stuff. But shows, come on, Netflix, Amazon Prime, they hold a license to stream the show for people for a certain amount of time, and then it gets sold, or the terms end and things like that. So you can wake up one day, your favorite show isn't even on Netflix anymore. Um, but even with actually purchasing things, right? I'm seeing more and more like posts on social media where somebody actually bought a digital movie and then they try to go in there, like Amazon Prime, you try to go in there and it's no longer available because they don't have the license. And it's like, if that's where we are, then what does that mean for ownership, right? Ownership should mean that you have the right to keep something, give it away, or sell it at will, or share it. Doesn't it, right? So Sony has made no mention of any sort of digital resale marketplace that will, work for this new era if we're all just gonna, adopt that we are only digital media only, right? So when consumers adopt that mindset, that the only way to own new media is digitally, then where are we going? What does that mean in the future, right? And it begs the question, like, what do we really even own anything in America? And this is outside of digital, right?
Right.
I
And
guess that's a whole physical, psychological or philosophical question, rather, right? I mean, some people made the case like, you could own your house. You can own your house outright. You pay off the mortgage, but if you don't pay them taxes, then somebody's going to come for that house. Or even if the government, you could pay off your house, pay off the mortgage, pay the taxes. If the government decides that,
they want
the
the road
land
to
that
go
your
that
house,
way.
they want a road to go through there. They want a huge company to be able to put their
I
footprint
see you.
there.
I see what you did
They
there.
want to, with this AI era, they want to put a data center in right in the middle of your neighborhood, whatever the case may be. The government and or this concept of ownership, it's kind of like we're starting. It's because of things that we care about, but now we have to like really think of what does ownership mean in America, and what does it mean moving forward if we're going to continue this headlong sprint into the digital age? The entire idea behind physical media versus digital media is convenience, right? It's very convenient to pick up your phone, pick up your iPod, and play a song, or watch a TV show wherever you and your phone are, or watch a movie wherever you are. Um, and it's the same for video games. Even myself, right? I have the physical disc PS5, but whenever a new game comes out and I want to play it that night that it comes out, I get to download it, right?
Right.
So it's very convenient. So it kind of gets to this thing of like, is convenience of certain things killing the concept of ownership? Uh, I don't know. That's a philosophical question, or it may turn into more
Right. And
pertinent question
can
as
and
as
can you
time goes on.
can you trade digital assets? Does what does that mean for the business
Right.
model of a GameStop, right? If
Hmm.
that's going what the
Yeah.
future is going to be, you don't need to go there anymore.
Yeah. Or actually what you just said, right? Digital, you could trade like you had the whole NFT craze and everything, but like Bitcoin and things like that, that's a
I was
digital
thinking of that.
thing.
I definitely, while you were talking, I looked up
Yeah.
and I said NFT. Is that the right word? Yeah. Right.
Yep, but then if you think about it, the environmental consequences of that, like we just said, come in and build a data center, like you need like huge facilities to maintain this growing and growing amount of data that we're all consuming and sharing and trading all over the place. So if video games or digital media decides to go the way of Bitcoin or something like that, that's going to accelerate all of those problems even more. So I don't know where the idea of ownership or the concept of ownership is headed. The digital age is still in its upswing, and time really will only tell what the future holds. So what other kinds of ownership we will concede for the sake of convenience? I don't know. But if you want to make sure that the things that you still own today are in order, then please call your friendly neighborhood advisor, 315-748-5540. Again, that's 315-748-5540, or you can send me a quick email at michael.jennings@brackensfsn.com. LPLFinancial.com.
Mike Jennings is a wealth advisor with Brackens Financial Solutions Network at LLC and a registered representative of LPL Financial member SIPC. He is your friendly neighborhood advisor.